Trade rumors are escalating in Houston surrounding a wide receiver that might not get a lot of playing time this year. Last year was forced into the starting rotation because of a lot of injuries. Nico Collins went down early. Tank Dell had that catastrophic injury. And Stephon Diggs tore his ACL. So now you bring in a lot of new players. You have a new and improved receiving core. This player might not even make the 53-man roster. So it's interesting to see what teams are going to want to trade for him. And we have an update regarding some trade news. Now, before we get into the video, if you are new to the channel, 77% of you watching right now are not subscribed. The support on the videos has been incredible. Thank you guys for just supporting the channel. It's been awesome to do these videos for you. And comment down below thoughts on John Metchie. Is he going to make the team? We've talked about it a lot, but this is a very interesting kind of setup here because this mock trade, and we'll go through kind of all the teams that could be interested in Metchie, but I don't know if the Texans are going to willingly want to ship him off considering he is 24. He can very much develop. He's at camp. He's having a good time. What is the thing with John Metchie? All these trade rumors, why would the Texans trade him for not a lot of value, right? What you can get for him right now is probably a 6th-round pick. But the thing here with this mock trade right here that doesn't make any sense is that the Patriots, this is the thing with the Patriots. They have a mock trade. Texans trade with the Patriots a straight-up John Metchie for Kayshon Boutte. So you still don't solve your problem if you're the Texans because you get another receiver that you might have to get rid of anyway. Because look at this depth chart. You have so many wide receivers. Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, Dell is injured, but Higgins, Knoll, Metchie, Watson, Hutchinson, Berrios, that's 8 receivers. Wayne Johnson and those guys will probably be on the practice squad. But looking at the 8 receivers, I don't know if you can keep 8 receivers, especially when you just signed Nick Chubb and you have 5 running backs now. But it's just putting it all together, I'm just thinking about it as what do the Texans do with this situation? Because the trade rumors are going around, right? They have a lot of different options that they can go for in terms of the Patriots trade is the first kind of mock trade. The Cleveland Browns could be interested. Again, Metchie is 24 years old. This is the last year of his rookie contract, and realistically, you could trade a 6th or 7th round pick, and I don't think the Texans would say no. But if I am the GM, if I am Nick Caserio, I don't think it's such a great idea to trade Metchie, considering it would be good depth. And I don't think just a 6th-round pick is not going to make or break a difference from trading off a young wide receiver who you can probably have as the 6th, 7th guy behind Justin Watson, behind Braxton Berrios. So it's just a little bit questioning for me as to Metchie. Yes, he did not have the best season last year, obviously was not ready, but give him another year, give him a contract on a 3-year, maybe not a 3-year deal. But this is the thing is, do you trade him now before his last year of his contract or just have him stay on the roster and he's not going to play? So that's the thing. What team is willing to pay a price in terms of a 6th-round pick, or do the Texans even want to give that up? Carolina is a team that could be in the sweeps. So I don't know. Stroud could go, or it's not Stroud, but Bryce Young and John Metchie both played in college together. That could be something, but it's just a matter of do the Texans want to give him up, because it's likely they might have to cut him anyway, considering the Texans have Collins, Kirk, Higgins, Knoll, Metchie, Watson, Hutchinson, Berrios. That's 8 receivers. I don't think Hutchinson is even going to cross the surface as the 7th, 8th wide receiver. So that's the thing. Hutchinson and Metchie might both be cut and put to the practice squad. So that's the thing. We could see 8 receivers kept on Houston, considering they go 2 or 3 at other positions. But it's just interesting to this was post last year before the start of the season, and I think that was kind of your key kind of spot to trade Metchie was last year when he had some value, and then he kind of dropped his value a little bit, and then the Texans obviously draft players because Metchie was clearly not ready. So there are some teams that are going to be willing to take a low risk, high reward, but what is a 6th-round pick going to do for you if you're the Texans? Yes, you might want to get something instead of nothing for Metchie if you're the Texans, especially if he's not going to play and you're just going to probably get rid of him anyway, and this is the last year of his contract. You might not sign him, but that's kind of the thing here. The Cowboys have Lamb and George Pickens now. So you bring in Metchie, that might not be a terrible idea. They also need a running back. Pierce might not be on the team considering Nick Chubb and Mixon will now go to work. It'll probably be Woody Marks and then Ogunbowale because Pierce might get cut at the end of this training camp. So this is a tough spot to be in if you are the Texans. As far as the Metchie trade, this really doesn't make any sense. For Kayshon Boutte to be in a package for John Metchie straight up, I just don't think that is logical because you still don't solve your problem if you're the Texans and having so many wide receivers on your team, right? But you look at so many other different things. Right now, these are three logical teams that John Metchie could be traded to. I could see him going to New England, but not for another wide receiver. It'll probably be for a pick or some sort. And Metchie is a good idea to go get because he's a younger guy and you can maybe coach him up. But I think the Patriots receivers are fine. So it really comes down to Carolina. The Steelers are in definite need of a wide receiver. If Calvin Austin is your number 2 wide receiver and Robert Woods is your 3, go ahead and bring John Metchie to Pittsburgh and reunite him with his former teammate in Robert Woods. I feel like that would be the best move considering he is 24 and he does have a lot of potential. And if he could go to a place like the Steelers and Mike Tomlin can coach him up, good for them. But it's just a matter of what value can you get for John Metchie right now because he is 24, and I don't mind keeping him on the team, giving him a 2-year contract next year on a minimum salary, and just keeping him as a depth piece because realistically, yes, he did not play the best last season, but I feel like he definitely has this step where he can take a top off the defense, and that's the thing. He kind of had to play as a number 2 when Nico Collins came back healthy and then Tank Dell got hurt. It's almost like Metchie had to step up as the 2. But even playing slot, Hutchinson as the XY receiver next to Nico Collins, Metchie still played subpar. I mean, that's even given him a little bit of praise in terms of how he did because he played in that playoff game. That fumble was crucial. He was never on the same page with Stroud. The thing with Metchie was he could never create enough separation between his routes, and that's kind of ultimately why the Texans made the decision to say, hey, we need another receiver to match next to Nico Collins. We're going to go get Higgins, and then they traded for Kirk because they knew Metchie was not ready. But again, Metchie could still be the future is what we thought until the Texans drafted Jalen Noel, who's pretty much a similar Tank Dell, but he's bigger than him, and he's a similar route runner. So that's kind of where that is. And I'm honestly more interested to see if Tank Dell is going to come back healthy and be another viable weapon for CJ Stroud. Because if that's the case, Metchie might not have a long future with this team at all. So it's a tough situation to be in, but I could very well see him going to the Cowboys and being a potential number 3, but working beside Kevontae Turpin. Steelers definitely need a wide receiver. That's 2. And then honestly, the Panthers, the Browns. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could be interested in a young receiver like John Metchie. It's just, do the Texans want to give that up, right? You're not really getting much for John Metchie, but you might have to trade him regardless because you don't have room for him here. And that sounds crazy because he is young and he has a lot of potential and he could have a bright future. But from what he's shown on the field so far, and again, a great story for his comeback to this league and how he's been able to get back on the field, but unfortunately just hasn't put the best play forward on the field. And that's the thing, is do you want to just say, hey, we'll take a 6th in 2026 or 2027 for Metchie? I don't know if you want to do that, but you might not have a choice considering if you do keep Metchie. Like, that's the thing. If you cut Metchie and he's not a part of your 53-man roster, you are going to lose him. You're not going to be able to re-sign him to the practice squad. He's going to go elsewhere. So a lot of things to consider here for the Texans team. This is going to be a run-first team first, and then obviously there's a lot of depth. You have Justin Watson, you have Braxton Berrios, 4 depth pieces. You have Christian Kirk, who's, again, known for he was injured last year. That's a questionable problem that he could have getting back to this season, and that's why you got so much depth. That's why you got Nico, Higgins, Kirk's in the slot for right now. Noel will eventually take his place. Then you have Watson and Berrios. Berrios can play the slot. Watson can play the 2 if he's needed to. But you have all these positions backed up to the backups. And even the guys that are as depth pieces, they can play. They can, if they were to be thrusted into the starting role, they can definitely make it work. So this has been very well thought out by Nick Caserio. This has been a very well mapped in terms of how this team's going to look for this season. I think it's going to be a run-heavy scheme, Mixon, Chubb, and then Nico Collins is going to be the number one guy. But the biggest thing with this new offense is Collins could definitely draw a double team, and that's where you're going to open up the middle of the field and guys like Christian Kirk and Jaden Higgins on the other side, Nico Collins 2.0. I mean, he's going to go crazy this season. But there's so much potential from this team, and I don't want to take the topic away from John Metchie because realistically, he's probably going to get traded. I don't think it's necessarily something you have to do if he can make the roster, because he has been doing decent in OTAs, and now you have, mandatory mini camps coming up, but I don't know. Metchie has yet to prove himself on the field, but he is young and he's still got a lot of time. So I wouldn't really take that for granted, even though you do have Nolan Higgins for the future. So it's a question of, do you want to just get rid of him for what he's worth now, or are you just going to release him? Because I think if it's becoming to between that, they'll probably get what they can for him, whether it's a 6th or 7th in 27 or 26. So there's the video for you. Mr. John Metchie. Again, trade rumors are, this is the article that I saw, that potentially it's Metchie for Booty straight up from New England. And I don't see that as a possibility just because the Texans don't need Booty. They could just take a pick for pick 5 or pick 6. So, yes. Crazy Texans news, but this depth chart is going to be crazy. I think this season is going to be a lot of expectations for this team. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on John Metchie. The receiving core overall, how are things going to look for this offense? There's a lot looking forward to for this upcoming season. And honestly, the days that go by until the start of the season, it has been just so long. And I just want football to start now. And the 2 and 3 months of preparation and things that they put into their offenses, the offseason is so long for football and it can just get so dry. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. 77% of you, once again, are not subscribed. Hit that sub button if you're new. It's been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest. We'll see you in the next video.